Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Because the biggest thing is know your worth. If you're a hairdresser out there, know your worth and don't let yourself get taken advantage of, because these big companies, man. So let me just break up what's been going on, what it's like being a hairdresser, some of the struggles, some of the good things. I'm currently at a commission-based salon. They pay us hourly, and then we get commission on top of that, and then we get tips. So every week is different. Every week is varies here and there. But I talked about the CHISME, and I'll insert like parts of that video in this one so that way y'all can like kind of understand. But pretty much at my job, they hired two people, a guy and a girl, same week. Doesn't make sense to me why they even hired two people, because we really are not busy to have two people. But I try to understand, because I'm like, you know what, maybe she's like, you know, like there's a good reason behind this, and like honestly there's not. But anyway, she hired two people. She ended up firing the girl like 2 weeks ago probably, so she was there like maybe 3 weeks, and then they fired her because apparently like she had a confrontation with a client. The client said she got burnt with a blow dryer, didn't like her hair, and she honestly did a lot of hair that didn't look that good. I didn't love her. Like, I feel like she had potential. Like, her work, some of it was good, but some of it was not good. So she was very hit or miss. You know, like when you go to a restaurant and sometimes it smacks, and then sometimes you go and it's not good. She was kind of like that, because she would do a color and I'm like, oh, good for her, like that looks good, right? And then the next day she do a color and I'm like, oof, I don't know about that. Like, why does it look like that? So I feel like eventually, like over time, like it probably wouldn't have worked out anyways. But the guy is still with us, and I don't understand why, because his jobs are not very good. And I'll insert clips of like the first video that I recorded and the second video I recorded. Pretty much, long story short, in his first 3 weeks he was there, he did maybe like 4 colors. Did not look good. One of them, her hair was all the way down to her belly button. She left with like from here down looking orange. She called back, didn't like it. This girl called and came back 3 times. Finally, after the 3rd time, she literally had green hair, and she said, look, I'm done fixing it. I just want my money back. And so they just reimbursed her. Poor girl, honestly. I'm just so confused, because he has like supposedly over 10 years experience. He's an educator. He's worked with with David's Bridal, and done wedding hair. And that's another story, because he did wedding hair. And I had to help him because I felt so bad for the girl. And then he tried to blame that he used the wrong developer. I just prayed that like it would look okay for the girl's sake. And as he was going through it, I was like losing hope. I was like, this poor girl. And when he toned it, he asked me, he's like, what do you think? And I was like, oh, what toner are you gonna use? And he was like, oh, it's toned. And I looked at it and I was like, that's when you know, like, if I can't tell it's toned, like if it still looks like a raw lift, I don't know. Because it's always nice to have a second opinion. Like, that's what's nice about our job, is like we work as a team and we work really good, and then you bring in these like new people that like just think they know it all, and they think they're gonna do a flawless job, and then they finish and it looks not very good, and it's like, oh, you didn't even ask for advice or help or anything, like, oh. And then another girl he did, also dark hair, her ears down, like this hair that's like down here was green, and then ears up, all this hair was orange, because like this got too light, and y'all know if the hair is blonde and you put ash on it, it's gonna turn green. And so I'm pretty sure he put ash on it, but it's not an even canvas. So that girl left and did not look good. There's just a few that like left, like roots were super warm, ends were warm, like he's just not done the best job. And what's crazy is when he started, apparently he had 10 years experience, and the manager told me, because I was kind of like, when I found out, because this is what happened, he started doing clients. I found out his prices were like $15 to $20 higher than what my prices were. And that to me was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. But I was like, you know what, let me give him some time. Maybe he's gonna come in here and do a bomb job and do the prettiest transformations, and I'm not gonna say nothing because, you know, if that is the case, then good for him. He deserves to be charging what his worth is. So I didn't say nothing at first. I waited 3 weeks, and in those 3 weeks he did, like I said, like probably 5 girls, and they did not look good. But y'all, this week, I swear it's gotten so much worse with both of them. And the people are just not happy with how their hair is coming out. Because if you put ash on blonde hair, it's gonna turn green. Like, blue and yellow is green. We don't know the color wheel yet. Like, I don't know how he's saying that he knows all these things and he doesn't know these things because he's not doing a good job. But she apparently called today bawling. And she's called upset a few times because, like, obviously she's came back in to get it fixed. And she says that every time that she's called to complain, she's never crying. She's just like, you can tell she's upset and this and that. She said she literally was bawling her eyes out and, like, couldn't even talk because she was just so upset with her hair, saying that every time she's washed it, it looks green and it gets more green the more she washes it, which is so freaking true because when she left, it was like a dark green. It was like a green brown. But every time she's washes it, because her hair is so light, it's gonna literally fade and just get more green. And I just feel so bad for this poor girl because apparently I say apparently because her hair was virgin according to her, but then he wanted to say like, oh, her hair actually wasn't virgin, that's why it wasn't lifting. Because remember I told y'all, like, he makes excuses, like it's not even about like what's actually going on. He's like, oh, this didn't work because of this. So he was trying to say that her hair wasn't virgin. And I'm like, for one, how can you even say that? Because it did lift evenly. You just open air balayaged it. So how do you expect to get blonde from an open air balayage when her level is like 3 or 4? Like, her natural level is as dark as mine. If you open air balayage me, I'm not getting past orange, like 100%. When you do something on one client, you learn from that and you do something different for the next client. You're not gonna do the same exact thing if you didn't get a good result. You know, you're gonna switch it up. So he put straight freaking ash on this nut. This other girl leaves again another client with green hair. So then that's when I went to the manager and I was like, look, I really don't appreciate that somebody that has less value to their work is charging more than me. So that's where I got upset because I just be back. So that's why I got upset because I was like, okay, at this point I'm losing money because my prices are lower, and I wasn't even like gonna say nothing because at the end of the day I was like, you know what, like it's all right. But then after I saw his work, I was like, no, this is not fair to me, to other stylists. So I went to the manager and I said, look, I've seen his work, I've seen my work. There's been so many girls that left that I could have done, and I know I would have done a beautiful job on them, and they would have continued to come to me and they would have loved their hair. So I told all this to the manager. She told me, she was like, oh, I actually had a feeling that you might feel some type of way about his prices being higher. Which goes to show she knew how I was gonna feel and she didn't care. Like, she just was gonna like let it be, right? Like, what's gonna be the solution? And she was like, well, I can't really say much because you know how people are. They don't like want to say anything because then they don't want to be accounted for when they don't do something. So I am like, once I get to that point where I'm like, no, look, like you're taking advantage, like this is not fair to me, and the fact that you don't care makes me think you're not a good person or a good manager, but that's besides the point. But anyway, so I was kind of pushing towards her like, okay, like I want an answer, right? So I said, well, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna raise my prices or are you gonna lower his prices? Because at this point, that's an easy answer. Like, oh yes, I'm gonna do that, or no, I'm not gonna do that, you know? And she said, she's like, honestly, I think probably both will happen. She did raise a few of them, not all of them, but a few of them. Like my haircut, my long haircut was $55. So if they have hair like anywhere past the shoulders, $55. So she raised that to $60. Meanwhile, he's still charging $75, and I'm like, how does that make any sense that he's charging more than me? But I'm like, you know what? I just appreciate I got the raise, right? But like I said, I got my price increase, so that's what matters. In the hair industry, you can be taken advantage of so easy. And I was booth rent before this, so this is like my first like corporate hairdresser job. So it's definitely different than booth rent. Booth rent is great because you're your own boss and you can do whatever you want. And you can do whatever you want as far as hours, this, that. But like here, because we have to like obviously like follow their rules and like make sure we're there when we're scheduled and like all these things, it is different. But I will say it's nice because since I know I'm not gonna be here long term, this is nice because it's like I'm getting paid without having to put in all the work. Like I don't do my own scheduling, I don't check them out, I don't pre-book them. Like there's a lot of stuff I don't do that the company does. So I will say it has its advantages and its disadvantages because like I'm obviously making less than if I was booth rent, but being like new to the city, I knew if I did booth rent, it would be so hard to grow. So that's like a different topic. It's just crazy right now. Like we're gonna see what happens. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Know your worth and don't be taken advantage of. And if you're a good hairdresser, make sure you get paid because we all have room to grow. Like I feel like I'm still growing and I'm still learning, and there's like so much that I'm still going to learn in my hair career. But I've learned so much in the last like 5-6 years that I have been doing hair, and I'm so grateful for. I know I'll continue to learn, like I said. But yeah, if you're a hairdresser out there, don't get discouraged if you're working somewhere and you're not getting paid. Figure out why you're not getting paid. If it's the price, ask for a raise. If it's just like the location is not doing it for you, find a better location. When I moved here to Colorado, I swear I went to like 50 hair salons because I was like, I'm not gonna settle for just anything. Like I gotta work somewhere good. That's pretty much it for this video. I just appreciate that she did give me a raise because she was like, well, usually we don't give raises out this often. And I'm like, well, why didn't you give me a fat raise the first time? But it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.